the fattest guy in school was taking a shower, a group of bullies suddenly barged in. They threw him, completely naked, in front of 500 people in the gym. The students laughed and made fun of him. Only Calvin, the top student in school, even though his awards ceremony was ruined, but he still took off his golden jacket to give Bob some last bit of dignity. After thanking him, Bob quickly left. Only the bullies stayed behind, still laughing at him. But what they didn't know was, years later, the person they bullied would come back as a tough CIA agent to get revenge on them. 20 years later, Calvin, the top student from school, was now just an ordinary accountant. Being a good person didn't help him get promoted. In fact, those who kissed the ring got promoted to managers within a week, while he stayed stuck. His wife, who had lunch with him, noticed how upset he was. She comforted him, suggesting he go to the high school reunion to cheer up. But Calvin thought that would just make things worse.
Look, I don't want to be the guy that peaked in high school. After he peaked, his life went like this.
So he rejected the reunion invitation on Facebook. Then, he got a friend request from Bob, the boy who used to be bullied. Bob even sent him a friendly video.
Oh my God. No.
Oh my God. So long, right?
Calvin decided to meet Bob, but when they met,
My man. You better back up. Back up, man.
Calvin, it's me, Bob.
What? Sorry, do I know you?
the 600-pound guy from school now turned into The Rock. They remembered the past, and Bob was really thankful for Calvin's help back then. Just as Bob went to the bathroom, a drunk guy started bothering Calvin. Bob rushed in just in time, but these drunks pulled out weapons and called them a gay couple. After dealing with the drunks, they went back to Calvin's house. Calvin let Bob change into his pajamas and stayed the night at his place. But the next day, a group of agents showed up. They told Calvin that Bob was a CIA traitor, but when they rushed into the house, Bob had already disappeared. To find Bob, the agents followed Calvin to his office, and Calvin got a call from Bob.
We gotta talk. Can you meet me?
Sure, yeah, where? Where do you want me to meet you?
I'm in the stairwell of your building, 2 flights down.
The CIA agents immediately chased after him, but Bob appeared from behind the door.
Are you in? Or are you out?
Okay, well, then I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
Bob tied Calvin's tie to the smoke alarm and set it on fire. When the agents came back, Bob lifted Calvin up with one hand, using him as a hostage. As more agents arrived, Bob threw a printer cartridge into the air, shot it, and created a smoke screen, blinding everyone. But he didn't notice an agent behind him. The agent grabbed Bob's neck, and Bob almost lost his breath. Calvin grabbed a gun to defend himself, but in the struggle with the agent, now Calvin is fully in. Bob grabbed Calvin and put him on a cart to escape, but more agents were already arriving. Bob wasn't worried at all.
In 3, 2, 1.
The smoke alarm went off. Bob threw a flashbang and pushed the cart, while jumping off a building with Calvin. Then they used a car on the street to escape. In the car, Bob explained the situation to Calvin. 3 weeks ago, a traitor stole national secrets. When Bob and his partner went to capture him,
See you on the other side.
Hey, Bob!
the traitor killed his partner and framed Bob for it. So Bob needed Calvin's skills to track down where the traitor was making deals. They ran to a factory, but just then, a hitman arrived on a motorcycle. When Bob faced off with the hitman,
Because I've got backup. Ain't that right, Jet?
Calvin, eager to get home, decided to leave. Calvin barely got home, but found CIA agents waiting at his door. They gave Calvin a button and told him to press it if he saw Bob. Otherwise, he would be taken by the CIA and never come back home. Calvin reluctantly agreed and went to see the psychologist with his wife to relieve the stress of not getting promoted. But then,
Hello, Calvin. Hey.
Oh,
Calvin wanted to leave, but his wife insisted he stay.
Maggie, during lovemaking, have you ever placed anything inside of Calvin's anus?
Well, yeah, there was this one time.
Why don't we try a simple role-playing exercise? Calvin, you be Calvin, and I will become Maggie.
I'm confused. You're not my wife. Oh, God!
Calvin had enough and was ready to leave, but his wife thought he wasn't cooperating. She angrily left. Calvin blamed Bob for this, so he pressed the button the agents gave him. Both of them were taken back to CIA headquarters. Hearing Bob scream in the cell, Calvin felt terrible. After all, Bob was the only one who still saw him as a hero. So, he decided to rescue Bob. After escaping the headquarters, Bob handed Calvin a GPS tracker. Calvin quickly tracked down the traitor's location, but this place could only be reached by plane. To steal a plane, Calvin distracted the guards with a conversation, but Bob...
Here's the dick, find a plane. That's how you do it? Let me see it.
In the end, they successfully stole a plane and reached the traitor's deal location. To protect Calvin, Bob decided to go in alone, but as soon as he entered, CIA agents showed up. To give Bob a signal, Calvin rushed in. Just before the deal, someone walked out. Bob's old partner, who had faked his death, turned out to be the real traitor. At this moment, Calvin woke up. The reason Bob had deliberately shot near his neck was to avoid him getting caught, but Calvin mistakenly thought Bob was the traitor. When the CIA agents arrived, a fight broke out. Calvin didn't know who to trust, so he picked up the national secrets and ran. The buyer saw him and immediately chased after him. As they got closer, Calvin kept running, but was blocked by Bob and the traitor. Calvin didn't know who to trust until during the struggle. He accidentally shot Bob. The traitor then revealed his identity. After realizing the truth, Calvin did a backflip. Though it wasn't meant to be an attack, it gave Bob a chance to recover. At the end of it all, Bob and Calvin flew a helicopter to the reunion. Before entering, CIA agents appeared.
You ever want a career change? Give me a call.
How would I get in touch with you?
Just pick up any phone in your house.
At the reunion, the people who bullied Bob back then came looking for trouble, but this time,
A little bit.
I don't like bullies.
Bob stepped onto the stage. This time, he wasn't the shy boy who wouldn't dare to be seen. This time, he would take control of his life.
Thank you, Jet. I feel so free. Come here.
No, your junk is up.
The person he secretly liked in high school recognized him and kissed him. A few months later, Calvin became a CIA agent. Bob, who had waited for him outside all night, finally returned the golden jacket he had kept for years.